I spent 17 hours last night and early this morning working on a software program for myself, and pretty impressive piece of software, if I do say so myself. And I watched AI build it, and it was very impressive. But at the same time, it had an error that came across, and I spent all day. That 17 hours was all day trying to fix this one error and not being able to until around 2 o'clock this morning. And this perfectly captures the bizarre AI paradox destroying our economy right now. Technology is sophisticated enough to build thousands of lines of programming and eliminate jobs, drain websites dry, but too stupid to debug its own code. I've been working with Claude, ChatGPT, Windsurf, Gemini, Grok to build a fairly complex software program for my own personal use. The AI was doing an amazing job, amazing work, creating sophisticated code structures and handling complex logic that would have taken a human developer many months to accomplish. And all of this with what's called vibe coding. I've talked a little bit about vibe coding before because I'm not a coder. I don't know anything about it. And like I've said, all I knew about Python before a couple months ago was that it was a big-ass snake. And all I knew about Jason was Jason was that he was my next-door neighbor. Although I know Jason didn't pronounce his name Jason while he was drinking his Miller Lights. But that's all I knew. But with vibe coding, what you can do is you can have an idea for software that you want, and it'll build it for you by just telling it what you want. I mean, you have to, there are parts of it say, now let's do this part, and so on. There's Windsurf you can do that with. There's Cursor. There's Claude Code now. You can do parts of it with a Gemini 2.5 Pro. ChatGPT can do some coding. Their 04 Mini High is pretty good at coding. And, this is why you're hearing that software is dead, because why buy something that maybe only does part of what you want it to do, when you can just build what you're needing and it'll do everything that you want it to do, unless it runs across an error. And then you're in trouble for 17 hours. So anyway, everything was going great, like I said, until we hit that bug, one style error, one syntax error, whatever it was. And suddenly these advanced AI systems that had just written thousands of lines of code turned into digital toddlers, repeatedly running to the same wall. All of them, all of the LLMs I just mentioned and everything, they were recommending the same fix over and over and over again. And what should have been a quick fix turned into a 17-hour ordeal. As we discovered this simple bug was exactly 8 interconnected errors that the AI couldn't identify or solve on its own. We had to go back and forth. I had to do what I hate to do, and that is, going into the code and finding where Windsurf or ChatGPT or Claude or whomever, whatever, was telling me to change, and finding that line of code in the program and changing it manually. And I hate doing that. I'm always afraid I'm going to mess up something. But at about 2 o'clock in the morning, right before we finally, and I say we, me and the boys, Claude, maybe we'll make Gemini a woman. Gemini, me and the boys and girls. Anyway, I was just getting ready to open my window and chuck my computer out the window. I was so frustrated. I was tired, and I'm still tired. I probably look like I haven't slept. I did sleep, but didn't get all that much. But welcome to 2025, where AI can both write ultra-complex software systems and completely fall apart trying to fix its own mistakes. It's both amazing and stupid at the same time. Very interesting, but stupid. And if you get that reference, you are old. That's from Laugh In. Do you believe in the hereafter? Yes, I do. Well, then you know what I'm here after. That show was funny. Even though I was 4 or 5 when I was watching it, I knew what they were talking about. I was a dummy then. I was a lot smarter then than I am now. That laughable but not funny technology is the same tech that CEOs are adopting while putting millions of people out of work. Think about that. What are they going to do when they accomplish their goal of replacing all of us, only to flip the switch and nothing happens because there's a glitch in the matrix? One simple error in the code that went unnoticed. They're going to beg us human-type people to come back to work? We'll get to that in a second. But here's something else that's going on that we need to talk about. Cloudflare's CEO just exposed how Google and OpenAI are scraping up to 1,500 pages for every one visitor they send back, literally bleeding websites, blogs, and online businesses to death. It's not just killing websites, it's destroying entire industries, eliminating jobs and collapsing the digital economy that millions of people depend on. So let me explain exactly what scraping means if you don't know, because this is the digital equivalent of theft happening in broad daylight. When Google or OpenAI scrape a website, they send automated bots to copy all the content from that site, every word, every article, every piece of information, and they store it in their databases. This content then trains their AI models or populates their search results. Well, in a healthy internet economy, these companies would then send readers back to the sites, so the original websites, so they could see the ads, potentially subscribe if it was that type of service, or otherwise generate revenue for the people who actually created that content that you were looking at. That's the basic economics exchange that built the entire internet. 10 years ago, Google would send back, hundreds of people every time they did a search or every time they scraped for information. Today, Google scrapes 15 pages for every one visitor they send, and OpenAI is scraping a mind-melting 1,500 pages for every one visitor. What does this mean in practical terms? If you ask Google or ChatGPT a question, they now show you the answer directly on their website. Their platforms using information they took from websites without compensation. You get your answer without ever visiting the original site. The content creator who spent hours researching and writing that information gets nothing. No visitors, no ad revenues, no views, no subscription opportunities, nothing. I'm guilty of this myself. I haven't used Google in quite a while. I just, if I have a question, and pretty much whatever platform I'm on, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude, or those are the two main ones I use. I use Gemini probably after that. But anyway, wherever I'm at, if I have a question, I'll just type it in there and I know that I'll get the answer. But, I never really thought about where that LLM was getting the information. The fact that I just got the information for free without seeing their website, I didn't really understand that was hurting the creators of those websites. Doesn't mean I'm going to change the way I do things. Nothing is more frustrating, if you've been on the internet lately, than going to a site and having it, not only will it give you your answer, but it also gives you 15 videos that pop up all over the screen, slows down your internet speed, all these ads for different things that you didn't ask for. It's a mess, and so it's kind of nice just asking a question and getting an answer without being bombarded by all of these other things that you're not interested in. When you think about it, this is kind of like digital vampirism. They extract value from the entire internet while giving almost nothing in return. Their solution when asked about this was, create better content. That's like telling farmers to grow better crops while companies steal 99% of their harvest and tell them to be grateful for the exposure. The philosophy behind this extraction comes straight from Silicon Valley's elite and can be found in Marc Andreessen's Techno-optimist manifesto. Techno-optimist manifesto. Andreessen is a venture capital kingpin who co-founded Netscape, if you remember that, and now runs one of the world's most powerful VC firms investing in, surprise, you guessed it, AI companies doing this exact extraction. His manifesto celebrates this takeover. This is his quote: "We believe technology drives wages up and prices down, celebrating abundance for all. The reality? They drive website revenues down while extracting value up to their shareholders. Andreessen wrote, "We should eliminate barriers to innovation, meaning regulations that might require paying websites for their work." The manifesto calls any attempt to slow down AI a form of murder, she wrote, while these same technologies kill entire online industries. Remember, Andreessen became a billionaire by investing in these same AI companies. He writes intellectual justification for the extraction technologies, making him richer while website owners struggle to survive. Prince, the Cloudflare CEO, not the musician formerly known as Prince, we just talked about him a minute ago. His solution to this digital bloodletting is for website owners to use his technologies like Cloudflare to block AI crawlers unless they pay up. Nice AI model you got there, buddy. Would be a shame if suddenly it had no training data. So it gives you the ability to charge, OpenAI and these other companies, but will they pay you for your content? Some little pissant creator like me? No, But if enough of us got together, maybe that's an idea. But when you think about it, it's a pure protection racket, like something we saw in The Sopranos. Create online content that AI companies can't survive without, then block them unless they pay you. But it's also the same in reverse order. If you want protection from these companies, you got to pay Cloudflare. Otherwise they can just scrape the data from you. It's kind of a great position for Cloudflare to be in. And, congratulations to that man for those people who developed that, for using their brains and seeing where everything was going. You can't blame people for seeing the writing on the wall and coming up with ways to still be relevant and make money. That's what we're all trying to do right now. Money is not the answer to all things, but it certainly is important in today's world. And the fact that, if we don't come up with things, if we don't, learn and pivot, we're going to be left behind and basically dependent on UBI if that even comes to fruition. Prince said that the thoughtful AI companies like OpenAI, such a thoughtful company, they've done deals with major publishers, but they can't be the suckers paying when competitors aren't. And right now, nobody else is. The future of online publishing centers on leverage and not quality. The New York Times can force OpenAI to pay, but what about millions of smaller websites that built the internet we all use? They get bled dry. How do website owners survive this digital apocalypse? Well, we've talked about it. First, specialization. Highly specialized content with unique value maintains leverage. Generic websites easily replicated by AI will die first. Second, protection, using tools like Cloudflare to block AI scrapers unless they pay. Or unless you pay. Wow. So you got to pay to keep those companies from just stealing, robbing you blind. Hey, Vinny. Hey, Joy, bag of donuts. Come over here. Third, collective action. Individual websites have little leverage. I was just talking about this, but what if thousands of sites blocked AI scrapers at the same time if we all got together? The models would suddenly lose critical training data, forcing negotiations to happen. The ultimate irony, the same AI destroying website economics becomes sophisticated enough to replace website developers, yet remains too stupid to fix a single error in a line of code until 2 o'clock in the morning. So getting back to my question of when the CEO flips the switch and nothing happens, will they be calling us back to work as human-type people? Nope, sorry, they won't. Because going back to Andreessen's manifesto, the goal isn't just automation, it's destruction and rebuilding. These tech elites just don't want to replace workers. They want to completely dismantle existing systems and rebuild them in their image. It's right there in the manifesto where he calls for creative destruction and claims that any resistance to their vision is anti-human, which is funny because they're not interested in a functioning economy that includes humans. They want a tech-dominated landscape where they can control everything. So when the AI fails, and it will fail, as I just witnessed firsthand, they'll double down on more AI rather than admit their fundamental mistake, which makes a lot of sense when you think about what's going on right now. You know, when you see DeepSeek and these other companies building AI for, pennies on the dollar compared to what it cost others, because, basically they're building on the shoulders of somebody else's work, which is how things have worked throughout time. They're not building these big data centers that, cost billions of dollars to build, so that's why they're still continuing. It's a blueprint. The business strategy is a blueprint for economic demolition dressed up as progress. And again, that's making a lot of sense to me. And we're already seeing it play out in real time. We live in a bizarre technological moment, that's for sure. AI transforms entire industries while failing at basic tasks. Economic apocalypse and comedy show rolled into one. Maybe that should have been on Laugh In. That's why documenting this digital extinction event matters. And that's why I'm doing it. We're witnessing the most absurdly contradictory technological revolution in human history. It's easy to see. I mean, read the headlines, and it just makes you wonder what the heck is going on. And I got to tell you, I had a crisis this morning. I was really considering just walking away and being done with all of this, because it wasn't making any sense. AI CEOs are replacing people with AI, and that AI is less than stellar. And what we hear is it doesn't have to be stellar, it just has to be good enough. Well, I'm not even sure if it's good enough. I'm kind of I'm on the fence at this point. As you know, by watching my last, few videos, things, I believe that AI is coming, AI is here, but AGI and ASI is coming. And I still do. But we're not there yet. We're not. It's going to be a few years. It could, on the other hand, when I say things like that, I've seen enough of this to know that tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's another day. And what AI can do right now is going to be different than what it can do tomorrow. It's a weird place to be. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a weird place to be, to see this happening. Some days it's like, wow, we're all screwed. None of us are going to have a job. And the next is, wow, this technology really sucks. But I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both, if that makes sense. And I look for it to improve. And I say this all the time, and it's true. The technology right now is as bad as it's ever going to be. But that, however, does not mean that it's about to be all-consuming, all-knowing. It's not about to, I don't think it's about to take all of our jobs by tomorrow. By next year, yeah, who knows, maybe. But possibly we have more time than what I was thinking. And it's not just because of the errors that I had to endure on that program this morning, but it's things you read about, it's things you see, it's the stories you read. You go from one, Rue, hush. Rue the Wonder Cat wants back in. You look at YouTube, you look at things, and you see these big wigs, Mark Andreessen, Sam Altman, all of them. And one of them will say one thing, and another one will contradict them in the very next video you watch. So I don't think anybody knows right now. Obviously, nobody's for sure. But I realized that all I need to do is talk about it with you, be straight about what I know, and we can go from there. We don't have to have all the answers right now. We just have to be aware of what's going on. And that's been the goal of this from the very beginning. I think I kind of lost sight of that. I spent too much time talking about doom and gloom, and there is a lot of that. But there's also some signs of hope that make me think that we've got some time. And I'm not sure about the generations still coming after us that will be working when we're retired, but maybe at least for a while, it'll be a good tool for them to use, something that makes their production better and makes their jobs easier. And there may come a time when AI takes all the jobs completely. But for us anyway, right now, I would say that we have some more time than what I thought, just being very honest and open. The machines are coming for jobs, but they're still running face first into storm doors. Like in my son's sixth grade birthday party at our house, the big sleepover. Turns out the valedictorian, 6 years later when they were seniors, was the one. I was in the kitchen when all of a sudden I heard spam, clunk. I go around the corner and there's one of my son's friends laying on his back. Funny look on his face. He ran right into the glass storm door. It's a wonder he didn't break it because, in sixth grade, 12 years old, they run full speed all the time. They never stop. But he was just laying on the floor with a dazed look on his face. And of course, me being me, I didn't ask if he was, hurt or okay or whatever. I'm just started laughing right in his face. Hey, dumbass. I probably didn't call him a dumbass when he was 12, but I might have. I don't know. Like I said, that's a term of endearment in my family. But, the threat of AI taking over jobs is serious because we see it happen. It's up to 5.5%, I think, that of tech jobs have been cut at this point. And it's because of AI and the fact that AI is going to take their jobs. But what they're not considering is that AI can't do their jobs yet. It can do maybe 50, 60, 70% of their jobs, but it can't do them all yet. So, when the switch is flipped, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So if you would hit subscribe and like, and so we can keep pushing these videos out to people in our generation and the younger kids coming up. My son's worried about it. My daughter's worried about it. They're in my son just turned 30, and my daughter just turned 26. Their birthdays are 3 days apart, plus 4 years. But anyway, my wife wanted late May babies, and I said, just call me the mailman because I deliver. I'm sorry. That's what I say, though. Hit like and subscribe if you would. And if you're a website owner, or if you develop content for the web, or if you write a blog or a newsletter, or anything online, or really anything that AI might steal, and you've had an experience with that, would you drop a comment down below? I would appreciate it. I'd like to know if you've noticed your traffic dropping as AI answers questions directly, so let me know down below in the comment section if you would. And remember, the same AI helping me build useful software couldn't fix a basic error without human intervention. Me. Little old me underdog. The future belongs to humans who understand AI, not to AI itself. And I'll see you in the next episode.